We're in. Are we live?
We're live. We're
coming
doing
at
it.
you pre-recorded.
Whoa. Wait, we're okay. Yeah, no, I got it.
I think
I got it now.
I mean, aren't they all pre-recorded? Like, isn't that how recording works?
No, I do mine live. I do my audio live. Audience, if you're listening to this, they pre-record, and as you're listening, whenever you choose to listen, I have a little microphone wherever I'm at, and I get a little notification, and I whisper random things. So if it ever sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about, that's why.
Yeah, that's why Jake sounds so nonsensical.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Well, hello and welcome back. We're the Tough Gut Podcast. I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I am Jake. Imagine having 12 kids.
Well, that certainly would be a big family. And that fits today's bracket miraculously. It's the big bracket.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
What does that mean? Come along and find out, because I'm not sure any of us know either.
Well, it's my job to explain the bracket, so I'm going to do my best job. We picked movies with big in them. That's it. That's the thing. Big as it could be in the title, could be in the contents. Like Jake said, big family. One of our movies today, of course, is Cheaper by the Dozen. But should we do some spoiler warnings?
Yeah. We're going to be spoiling these movies and so many other movies. So much other media will be spoiled during this episode. Please watch out. If anything, if you don't like spoilers, man, oh man, is this not for you?
Really, you just need to watch every movie to make sure nothing can be spoiled when watching this show.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, well, there's that joke. So coming at you today, we've got Pacific Rim versus Big Hero 6. And then, as Alex mentioned just a moment ago, in the second half of the episode, we've got Cheaper by the Dozen versus The Big Sick.
I forgot that was our second matchup, not our first matchup. My bad.
No, it's all good. It should be a lot of fun.
Big fun.
You teased them. You did a little tease.
A little tease.
Someone should do like a big count and say how many times we say the word big.
Okay.
All right. Matthew volunteered. Keep in mind, audience,
No.
Matthew will be keeping count.
I was actually
Matthew
asking for an
stands.
audience
Matthew
member.
stands.
Yeah, there we go.
Matthew
I'll
stands.
convert
We're putting
to the
you in
stands.
charge.
Whenever
in charge of the big count.
Matthew says yes to something, it actually falls on you guys. So be careful who you stand. This is a real life lesson in stand culture.
Yeah.
I think I'm a pretty good stand daddy.
End quote. Matthew 2021.
Matthew,
That's going to be the whole audiogram that we put on Instagram. It's just going to be Matt saying, I'm a pretty good stand daddy.
Stand daddy.
On loop, too. Not like just a 30-second clip, like a 30-minute
I'm a pretty good
clip.
stand daddy. I'm a pretty good stand daddy.
That sounds like a GoDaddy like sister company. You remember those commercials?
I do.
Why do those
Danica
commercials
Patrick.
happen? Like those, like Super Bowl. They would always be the Super Bowl. It's like GoDaddy, and it'd always be like just sex, basically.
I don't get what GoDaddy is. Isn't it like a thing for like make businesses?
Their website hosting.
Oh,
why is it so sexy?
I thought it was something to do with sex. Yeah,
That's
why
why
is it so
sort of
sexy?
That's why they sort of rebranded all their modern ads are no longer sexy ads. They're now like build a fast, efficient business with GoDaddy.
Wait, really?
Yes.
I guess I haven't seen a Super Bowl commercial with them in a long time. I just automatically assume they're sexy.
Not anymore. They haven't been for a couple of years now.
They haven't been like to you sexy, or like are they still objectively sexy? You're just no longer physically attracted to them.
Yeah, as my tastes have changed, GoDaddy has failed to appeal to them. So therefore, GoDaddy no longer gets my business.
Go, Dad. No, that's Go Auto. That's a whole other thing. Never mind.
Right.
Anyway.
We are not here rating advertisements, though if you want to see us do a bracket on ads.
The bonus episode, if I've ever heard of one.
That'd be pretty cool. Actually, we should do like a giant, like 64 ad bracket or something. Bracket.
That would be so funny. Each matchup is like 5 minutes.
That'd be pretty good. All right. Well, jumping into this first matchup, Alex, do you want to go ahead and introduce Pacific Rim?
I would love to. Pacific Rim by Guillermo del Toro, released in 2013. When huge alien monsters known as kaiju rise out of the ocean, the world comes together to build giant mechs called Jaegers to kick alien ass. In the actual story of the movie, a retired Jaeger pilot named Riley returns to the Jaeger program to join a last-ditch effort to close the alien portal and stop the threat once and for all. This movie is awesome. It's just so good. Like, it has its issues for sure, namely the acting of the male protagonist. But I think the rest of it's pretty good. I think the graphics in this movie really hold up, being from 2013. Like, I was going to say this in our last episode if I wasn't sick, but like, I don't think the graphics from Avatar super hold up. Like, whenever they're in the light, it like looks kind of bad.
Thank you so much. I am so attracted to you right now. If you were a GoDaddy ad, I would hit like, oh my God, thank you.
I would use your business.
Sorry, continue.
I think the graphics in this movie totally hold up. They're so good. And it's only from like 8 years ago or whatever, but it's still, I think they're super good. But further than that, I think the emotional journeys that the like 3 lead characters go through are so like beautifully written in this movie, even though the performance is bad. The intricacy and beauty of a narrative where the plot revolves around finding your perfect partner, and it's a romantic interest, I guess, between Rally and Mako, but there's like more to it. It's more about like this mental connection and like emotional connection where you have to bear your whole soul and history to this person. I just think it's beautiful. It's so well done. The relationships are so good. Yeah, what did you guys think of this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I fuck with Pacific Rim, big robots fighting each other and with big monsters. You're right though. The graphics, like the Del Toro takes so much care. He is such like a beautiful. I love him as a director. He's one of my favorites. He's such a genuine man too. Like, he just loves big or spooky monsters, or sometimes both. And he believes in like genre. And like, when he won for Shape of Water and finally got like, you know, that kind of recognition for like the Oscars, I believe it should have been accomplished in Pan's Labyrinth, but whatever. He was just so happy. Like, he was just like giggly on stage, and like, this man, he's cool. Like, he's so cool, and it makes me want to root for him so much. And his movies just have such cool, inventive stuff in it. This lead protagonist sucks the life out of this movie, though.
His acting is really bad.
I just think there's a lot of unfortunate things about this movie that we will get into, which is like why both of them kind of have this. It was like, oh man, no wonder why this didn't get an immediate sequel or is in production hell. But I like it. I like Pacific Rim.
So, knowledge my 2 friends here are privy to. I love big monster. I love kaiju movies. I have this strange relationship where I have tried to watch Pacific Rim for years. So getting to finally watch it for this show and being able to actually stream it was such a delight. As Jake said, I am, so much love for Del Toro. He's so absurdly talented. And I feel like every movie he makes is just crafted with so much love for genres he holds very dear. And that is so evident here that Del Toro loves kaiju movies and wants to make an awesome kaiju movie. I will say, on the acting front, I did not notice the problems as much, which I think comes from the fact that
you just saw big monsters and you're like, yeah.
No, I felt it was playing into sort of some of the genre tropes of kaiju.
Okay.
Because they're definitely like some of that. That's how it felt to me, which is really, really funny. I might have to, like, next time I watch it, like, come with a more critical lens rather than, like, because I felt it was, like, cheesy in, like, the like kaiju movie
See, I
way.
thought about that at first, but then it just got unbearable. Like, then he just got unlikable. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of the acting in it is, like, playing into that trope. I think he is trying to play into that trope, and it just comes off as pretty bad.
Yeah. He just kind of
unsuccessfully
sucks it. Yeah. The next movie, it's going up against Big Hero 6, 2014, directed by Don Hall and Chris Williams. This is about, this prodigy named Hero who lives in the city of San Francisco.
So cool.
Amazing. He has his older brother that he looks up to, Tadashi, and he tragically dies in accident, or is it? And he built this companion, Baymax, who's a healthcare provider, big robot guy. And in a turn of events, he's in the middle of a dangerous plot, and he has to get help from Baymax and the other friends from the university. And they're a band of high-tech heroes. No pun intended. I love that his name's Hero, by the way. It's so good. I don't know. This is one of those movies where I find this, the reason why I like doing this podcast a lot and like forcing myself to rewatch some movies that I know, like I love and stuff, is that I'm just remembering certain movies that genuinely meant so much to me that I just forgot meant so much to me. Like, this was one of my like favorite Disney movies, and like it reminds me of the relationship with my brother. And this was like when we were finally starting to like get along in the earliest Olive Branch days, talking. And I remember him coming up to me and he was like, "These brothers remind me of us, in another timeline." And I was like, it was so wholesome. But then I watched the movie, and spoilers, like Tadashi gets I already said it, but he gets bodied like in the first like
he burns
15
to death.
minutes. And I was like, is
that what
you think of? Yeah. I just love it. It's such a wholesome, it's a funny movie. I think it also suffers, unfortunately, from like forecasting sometimes, but in a different way than Pacific Rim, which we can get up to when we compare them. But yeah, I just adore this movie. I think it is very sweet and it holds up. What do you guys think?
So I have seen this movie before. It is very fun, very cool. Yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure to rewatch. Though something that kind of stood out to me was I feel like it's just a little bit too short. Like there wasn't a lot of the development I wanted to see in some of the characters. It just never happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like you spend time with this team, you get their sweet like powering up montage where they're building their sweet suits, and then we get to see them be basically fucking inept the entire time until the very end, which doesn't feel gratifying. It's just like, okay. But I obviously understand the emotional core is between Hero, his brother, deceased brother, and Baymax, and sort of like that surrogacy. Yeah, but I mean, overall, I love this movie. It is so much fun. And I love the aesthetic of San Francisco.
Yeah,
it's so cool. So fun.
It took me a really long time to see this movie. Like, I didn't see this movie until like several years after it came out. But I adore this movie. I think it is so cool. I think the story is really beautifully written. Matt, I agree with you with the like Hero team being pretty underdeveloped, but I think that is in place of Hero's emotional journey, and also, what's his name? What's the villain's name?
Professor Callahan. Like, I think his emotional journey is really interesting. I think it's written super well, which is really difficult to do on a story where you don't know that he's the villain until the very end. But I guess I'm just going to start talking about it because I think this is like my favorite thing about this movie. The way that Callahan's story mirrors Hero's story, and Callahan becomes a villain and Hero becomes a hero. Like, Callahan loses his daughter, then like uses technology to get revenge, which is what Hero is trying to do the whole movie, and then like turns. I just think it's like, well, yeah, I think it's so cool because like they set up the villain with the hero's hope. Like it's getting into the brothers like college, and like the thing he creates I just think it's phenomenal parallel storytelling, and it's like a showcase of grief. This whole thing, and like, are you satisfied with your care and all the like stages of grief, and like they go through like, I think it's a beautiful encapsulation of that. That's something I also took note of, how they're setting up this big villain with the hero's literal hope, and that's pretty baller. And I think the payoff is really dope. I definitely agree.
And I think it's just done. It's done so subtly. Like, it's never like super in your face. Like, he lost his daughter and that's why he's evil. And like, you could have been evil. Like I guess they kind of do, but it's never like really obvious that it's a mirror. You know, I think it's smart.
Yeah, I do want to say, like, as a direct comment on our like reviews of it, I agree that, like, because I also took note that, oh man, I wish that we spent more time with the Big Hero 6, like the 6 of them. But also, I took note in Pacific Rim, I also felt that was a little too long. So it's kind of interesting. I just felt like there were some moments where I was like, okay, we're fighting again. And it just kind of, there was no need for this big fight, even though it's really, really cool. From a story standpoint, I was like, we don't need it. From a really cool, I was like, yeah. And I think that's more like Matthew's speed.
The kaiju genre will not please you then.
Well, no, I just felt like with Pacific Rim, like it felt different because I love kaiju movies, and like I get how big monster fights are big monster fights. But for Pacific Rim, it's probably because the main protagonist is such a bore, and he's so like.
In terms of like the fights, like, we don't need a fight here. I kind of disagree, because like each fight is pretty purposeful in like, it sets up either a character or it changes a relationship between characters, or like it like changes the dynamics of characters. And granted, I think they go on really long, but I think that's because they had so many cool visuals they wanted to do. Like Gypsy Danger using the like boat as a baseball bat and hitting the kaiju in the head.
Was great.
So cool.
Yeah, that was great.
The bit I'll sort of agree with you there, Jake, on is that I do think that Pacific Rim dedicates several scenes to like introducing these other members of the team who literally show up and then die in the first fight we see them in.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy to me that like they created like musical motifs for each of their Jaegers that get used once.
It's so unfortunate because like they built such a cool world. Like that's something in here. Both of these I was going to talk about, like San Francisco and whatever Pacific Rim's got going on with their kaiju, like big robot. Yeah,
kaiju, multi-dimensional
like,
Earth.
They're such cool worlds, and it's so unfortunate. Like they feel so vivid that Pacific Rim, like they work so hard on the world building aspect, and then they couldn't build their world. Because I guarantee they probably would have built new like robot. I don't know exactly all about the production of Pacific Rim 2, why it's been in production hell. I really feel like it's just
Pacific Rim 2 came out.
Oh.
I never saw it.
Yeah, Uprising, it came out. Del Toro wasn't involved with it.
Oh, that's why. I was going to say, like, it was
it's really fucking bad. To my knowledge, I haven't seen it.
Probably why I blocked it out of my brain.
None of us have seen it.
When did it come out, though?
2018, I think.
Oh. I mean, if Del Toro had no part of it, that's interesting. I'll have to see the second one.
He might have been like a producer or something on it, but yeah, he did not direct.
Big sad. That's probably why I was immediately turned off of that movie. I was like, if Del Toro's not returning, it's for a reason, and it's not going to have as much care as it does.
I did read the plot summary of it, and it sounds awful.
What I will say about those like side characters in Pacific Rim that you guys brought up, of like the other Jaeger pilots who just immediately die, I think, they set them up and they do that, but like, I would much rather them be like interesting, unique characters that I remember compared to just like stale toast. Like, oh, these are other Jaeger pilots, and then they suddenly die. You know?
Yeah.
Like
you could do that. Like, it's the Suicide Squad problem. Like, you're setting them up to die, and like we know that they're gonna die, and then it's just like, all right, at least make them like really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Circling back on the world building comment that you made, Jake, I'm a little bit confused on. Because you said like it looks like Pacific Rim has all this cool world building and then doesn't have the world building, and didn't really understand what that meant. Sorry,
it doesn't have like it did all this thing to have such good world building, but it didn't let its characters like really like it had such cool like there was background corporation stuff, there was background like history of kaiju and the robots, and like I just felt that there was so much history that we weren't privy to, and it would have been cool to like fill in those gaps a little bit more to make it more vibrant. And that's what I was hoping for in a sequel or something. Obviously, I didn't watch it. But yeah, it just felt like they were setting up to have such a cool, because that's what sci-fi movies, like, if they're really good, they make their own history and world. They don't have to explain it. They don't have to be over the head with it. But I just wanted more from the world than like we got.
I don't know that I fully
think that
agree.
was one of the. Go ahead, Alex.
I think we're going to say the same thing, Matt. That like it feels like they did all this world building and exposition in the very beginning, and then it becomes a very personal story. Like it's about the characters and their relationships and their experiences rather than the like history of the world.
I also think there's this element that the way they set up the world leaves you very hungry for more in a, I think, what is a good way, not a bad way, at least in my opinion. Like, I think the idea of like celebrity, like Jaeger pilots becoming celebrities off the back of being really good at killing giant monsters is so interesting and cool. But I totally understand why the story doesn't really go into that.
No,
this is a worried a world on the brink of the extinction. Like the kaiju black markets is like a super interesting concept, and I'm glad we get to see it like a window into it.
Ron Perlman is wild in this movie.
Dude, I love Hellboy.
What a funny...
Did you see the mid-credits scene?
I didn't watch it this time. What is it?
You see, it cuts to the kaiju that ate Ron Perlman. Suddenly you see a little butterfly knife pierce through and tear open its stomach as he steps out and goes, "Where's my shoe?"
Hell yeah. That's
because
so
they're not
funny.
going to kill Ron fucking Perlman. The dude's dope. I just wanted a Ron Perlman. I forgot Charlie Day was in this movie, guys.
Yeah, me too.
Charlie Day in more movies, man. I mean, he like almost didn't fit in this movie, but also I love that he didn't fit in this movie. Like, I wanted just Charlie Day and Ron Perlman to do their own thing, and yeah, oh my god, they were like the fun didn't fit in this movie. When it came to like Beckett, like there was a scene where he was like randomly chose to walk with like a limp and like grab his like crotch. Did you guys see that? Like he randomly in a scene where he's walking through the facility, he just grabs his crotch and like does like the whole like, oh, I'm walking like this shit. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. It's so bad. It's so bad. I will say another unfortunate, like for Big Hero 6, like they got a TV series recently to explore the world a little bit more. And the voice actor for Baymax came back. But also, I think maybe a reason why this didn't get like a Disney treatment of a sequel kind of right away was the cast isn't really that like, there aren't big players in it so much.
Yeah, outside of like Idris Elba.
Well, like even in Big Hero 6, I mean, like
in both of them.
For both of them, like there weren't big players for both of them. I mean, in Pacific Rim, they like killed most of them. And then the ones that are alive are people we don't really know. But in Big Hero 6, there aren't really big names either. And then one of the big names is like awful TJ Miller. Is that TJ Miller?
That is TJ Miller.
Yeah, that dude. And it's like, man, that sucks because it's really cool people, really cool characters. But like, I just don't think anyone was like, oh, they're coming back and it's like super, super exciting. But I think with Big Hero 6, because it's like animated, I think they can get away with it a little bit more because people aren't like fully... Like they may hear a voice and be like, oh, I kind of recognize that person. But then when they Google him on IMDb, they're just like, oh, wait, I don't know them. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously there's very clearly like other production related elements in Pacific Rim's background of like creating the sequel more than just the names they've cast. But yeah, I do think that that's kind of an interesting point is the casts are generally sort of an under the radar crew.
Yeah. You know how, this is a side thing, but you know how Del Toro has Doug Jones, that dude who plays all like he always dresses up as his monsters and on them? Mm-hmm. It would have been so cool if randomly they had like an old Godzilla tactic of just having like a dude dressed up in a big costume and like filmed like a puppet in perspective shift, and it's just like Doug Jones being like and like slap.
I wonder, because they had that scene in like the montage in the beginning where they were like kaiju kaiju and Jaegers are celebrities, and they had like a guy on the talk show dressed up as like a
dude.
kid
If that
Jaeger.
was Doug Jones,
if that was Doug Jones, that'd be so funny.
I would have
Secretly
lost my shit. Oh, that's fun.
It'd be amazing. Two things I want to call out that I just think are super fun from Pacific Rim, because we're just throwing things out. One, the fact that they like throw out in a like single line dinosaurs from the original like kaiju sent from that world, and they don't touch it further and don't unpack it at all. I'm like, wait, go back.
Okay, so I was a little confused on that. Were they saying that the dinosaurs were the first kaiju, or were they saying that the destruction of the dinosaurs was their first like attempted?
That's how I
like
took
colonization of Earth.
Because it would have been even more hilarious and stupid if they said dinosaurs were the first kaiju.
Really funny if dinosaurs
Velociraptors were the first kaiju.
I took it that those were like the first envoy that the
I took it as how they got bodied. I took it as like that big fucking slimy monster crushed those motherfuckers.
Interesting.
Hey, I'm wearing a Jurassic Park shirt right now.
Wow.
Nice.
Pacific Park. Welcome to Pacific Park.
You have all the kaiju. As they spit acid on a child, and then it's asked yet again, why do we put these giant lizards into parks? Why does it keep failing?
I still keep remembering that one scene from Jurassic Park 3 where he has the dream on the plane. Do you guys remember this? Have you ever seen this?
Where he like turns and
the animatronic, like the Velociraptor's like, Alan.
Yes, myself and my friends thought that was legitimately one of the funniest things ever, and it became like a running bit. And our like group of friends just be like, Alan.
It's so funny.
It's a good moment. It's
very funny.
Other thing I wanted to just really quickly call out is Pacific Rim had a little dedication in the credits to Ishida Honda, who, if you don't know who that is, he is the director of most of the original kaiju movies, like the original Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters, which we'll be watching for next episode.
Hell yeah.
And so many other things. He is a fantastic, creative visionary. And I just thought that was a really sweet little call out from someone who clearly inspired Del Toro a tremendous amount.
Yeah, I was just gonna say something that's really cool about these that we kind of touched on is how they both like tackle genre. Like I love in Big Hero 6, it's like they made the tech guy like the hero of the story, like the dude who like enhances everyone's like hero things or whatever. I thought that was an awesome subversion. And being a superhero movie and also being like techie and sci-fi, that's great. And Pacific Rim just being like the big like monster movie, but also like it felt like Del Toro. So like it wasn't just the cheesy like the big monsters like whatever. Like there was such a world like sci-fi element to it that I thought was really interesting. So I just love those about these movies, that they feel so heavily like influenced in genre and such. I do think Big Hero 6 like feels more fun, but Pacific Rim is still like a very cool way to do it. I don't know your guys' thoughts.
Big monster.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think both movies have a lot of fun with genre. I do want to. We're 30 minutes in, guys, and we haven't had the big conversation. Are these movies big?
Oh no!
I tried to keep a running list of the big things in Big Hero 6. Love the start. The movie starts out tiny robots, but they look big. Metaphor, the whole movie, tiny things being big. We've got Baymax, Big Marshmallow, Big Hug. We also have Death of the Brother, Big Sad.
The Big Sad, the spiritual sequel to the Big Sick. We'll get there.
I also noticed the white people in this movie all have big noses. The like animation style, big noses.
It's like a can of worms I don't want to
open. Yeah, those are my big things in Big Hero 6. What did you guys have other big things in Big Hero 6?
A big city.
Big City. Big dude, like San Francisco. I didn't mention this before, but like
Really
it's a cool kind of culture that feels like dystopia, but almost in a positive way. And I feel like we don't see that often. Like,
What do you
does that
mean
make
by
sense?
I don't know that I see
Like,
dystopia, but
well, it feels like, because that would like never happen, and so it feels like dystopic and almost like a weird futurist like sense of like, oh, these cities come crashing together, and then they make something like positive out of it. So I feel like it's futurist, like dystopic in that way.
I don't know that I ever got that vibe. I never imagined that San Francisco is a collision of Tokyo and San Francisco in some horrible event that they then like made the
not
best
horrible.
of.
That's why I said like in a positive way. Like I don't view it as like a horrible thing, but I just think it's like a cool futurist like thing.
I just assumed it's an alternate universe where
That's what I also
that it's
thought.
just
it felt futurist,
sure,
because of like
the robots,
the technologies, and like the whatever.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
I guess I'm more creative than you guys. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
What? Alex, I feel like you had something else to compare these, or not?
Oh, Pacific Rim. We've got Big Heart also.
Mhm.
We've got big robots, big monsters, big ocean, big city, big
Wall,
space portal, big wall. Tear down the wall. They do.
big explosion,
Big explosion. Big sword. Big boat.
big baby.
Big baby.
Big baby.
Big baby.
Dude, I've always wanted to see a kaiju give birth.
Big chin. Ron Perlman is in this movie.
What if the whole movie was just us watching the birthing scene, but like as a full-on like birthing scene? Because what if like Godzilla was pregnant? Then what?
Get to watch all of a sudden. So the movie cuts away, and you see that there's this creature out on an operating table. As all of a sudden, in like a little hospital mask, a giant lizard walks out, like scrubbing off his hands, putting very odd shaped like plastic gloves on for his like 2 fingers,
and it's just like lizard noises, but like we have subtitles. Like, all right, now breathe. It's crowding. I'd watch that movie.
And so it gives birth, and then the camera zooms into the eye of the kaiju that's just been born. As you get flashing scenes of its entire life going by, until all of a sudden it's dying on the streets of Hong Kong, and it's pregnant with its own child.
And we never end. We never end the movie ever. I do say I have a thing with Pacific Rim that left me feeling like wonky, because like we're getting towards the end, and I just feel like I do love both these movies, but I feel like saying negatives is probably going to help inform our decisions more.
Sure.
I just felt the whole one. I'm glad they didn't kiss at the end, right? But I wish they would have been more solidly just friends rather than play up the romantic. And I felt like the movie did play up it's a man and a woman bonding. That's never happened. And I just didn't like that. I also feel like she didn't really get to make a lot of the decisions, and a lot of she did in a crucial point, but it just felt like it was just okay, this is the woman making coming. I don't know. It just felt like they didn't really handle. Is it Maki or Mako? Mako. She didn't really it felt like a device a couple of times in it. Yeah.
I feel the exact opposite. I think her character is so well developed. Her story is so interesting in this movie, and she has such I think a good arc getting through it. I think the revenge story that she has is really interesting. And it's done in a really interesting way. I don't know. I kind of completely disagree. I think the fact that they don't kiss, the fact that they their connection is so deep, but it's not romantic.
I felt like they tried to make it romantic. Though.
I don't think I think
he
they
said
wanted
the whole
to.
line was they're bad at I'm bad at timing, and the whole line where they're guys, are you there? Are you what's I don't know. It just felt
I don't think they're trying to make it romantic. I think they're trying to show the depth of connection that you can have that doesn't have to be romantic, which is something that's really difficult to portray. And I think this movie actually does it really well if you're not looking for it to be romantic.
I like the whole time I didn't want them to be romantic, but I felt like it was. So I just feel like they did it poorly.
I'm gonna go with Alex here on this, and felt it very much felt platonic. Like it was like platonic in the traditional sense that there's this extraordinary amount of intimacy, but it's a non-sexual, non-romantic intimacy. But I do think I get some of the feeling that it was on that precipice, because it's probably like a big talked about thing from a lot of people that saw this movie. Of like, why didn't they get together? Did they get together in the sequel?
Yeah, well, I just felt like, and even besides the romantic stuff, I just feel like she didn't like. There were a lot of moments when they were like fighting together, where like he made all the decisions and she didn't get to do a cool like she's in charge and she also knows how to fight. Like they build her up as like this really good fighter, and I just don't feel like she was able to fully lead until like maybe a second in the very end. I
kind of disagree.
Like,
she has the whole thing with the sword in that middle fight. Like I totally disagree with you.
I don't know. I don't believe her character was fully fleshed out for being as a female lead in this movie, but that's just me.
Also, wait, Jake, do you think Big Hero 6 does better with any of the female characters?
No.
Like none of the female characters in Big Hero 6 get arcs.
No, I don't.
Well, I think we should probably vote, but there's a very cute clip from the production of the child who plays Child Mako being like very shy around Del Toro because he's sort of this like big rotund gentleman, and there's just such like a ginger little hug that like eventually she becomes very comfortable with him, sees him as kind of like this grandpa-ly figure. It's literally so cute.
That's so cute.
I saw that footage before I saw the movie.
All right, I can go first. I actually was pretty on the fence, and then Jake, your last point actually pushed me over the edge. I am voting for Pacific Rim.
Oof.
Because I disagree with you so hard.
Yeah, I just think I'm standing up for all the women who listen to this podcast, and I'm voting for Big Hero 6.
Wow, okay. I'm a feminist, guys.
Well, Jake saying that makes my vote in a very bad spot. But I'm voting for Pacific Rim. I love Big Hero 6 dearly, but it's big and big monster. I don't know, man. It more suits my taste, I think. Despite big all monsters. The corny acting.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Shall we jump over to
I'm so
our...
glad you got to finally watch the whole movie.
Me too.
I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad it wasn't a disappointment to you.
That would have been so earth-shatteringly sad.
Impossible for this to be.
Yeah, recent brackets, we've had movies that cater to my tastes very well, and Pacific Rim is just a continuation of that.
I know how to pick them.
With that, we'll hop over to the other side of the bracket with Cheaper by the Dozen versus The Big Sick. I'll go first. I'll introduce The Big Sick.
Hell yeah.
Give Jake a little breather because he just introduced Big Hero 6 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
The Big Sick, directed by Michael Scholter, released in 2017. Co-written by Kumail Nanjiani and his real-life wife, Emily Gordon. The Big Sick is inspired by the real romance of these co-writers. It follows Kumail, a struggling Pakistani comedian who begins dating grad student Emily Gardner. The seriousness of their relationship comes into question when suddenly Emily contracts a mysterious illness, and Kumail is forced to grapple with his feelings against the backdrop of clashing cultural expectations. It is, in my opinion, a fantastic rom-com / rom-dram. I don't think I've ever mentioned this to either of you two. But I love this movie. I think it's so good. It is such a fun portrayal of the awkwardness of romance, new relationships, and love. Why I put it in this bracket? Well, that it's the sickness is big sick.
Yeah, big in the title. That's good. Yeah, that's good enough for me, dude. For this bracket. Big sick. Yeah, big in the title.
Yeah. So what did you guys think about this one?
I can go. I love this movie. I think it's so good. I think it does such a good job of pacing itself, because the story could end at multiple points throughout, but I think it takes that extra step to really like flesh the stories out and like finish all the narratives in a compelling and interesting way, which is so interesting when it's like a true story or like a retelling of a true story.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also forget every time I watch this movie that this is the real life story between him and his wife, which I just think is so beautiful.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah, I think it's so funny, and their relationship is so cute. It's great.
Nice.
So I don't know why recently, but because it used to not be a problem at all, but my laptop was fully charged, and now it's at like 8% all of a sudden.
Yeah, you can record in another place.
Yeah, I'm sure your audio will still be fine. I hope your laptop's okay. Maybe it's just really sucking the juice out of it.
Sucking.
Really sucking the juice.
Sucking juice.
Sucking
like
juice.
Me and my little juice glass.
Oh, juice. You guys were saying juice.
Well, if you're offering to get sucked, you Jew.
And that's stated. That is stated.
He's standing.
Is there any way you could just like be with your laptop underneath the covers of your bed? If not, that's fine. No worry. You're good. You're good. No, you're good. Don't do it. Don't do it. No,
honestly, the camera angle's a little bit like it's, that upward angle. It's a little bit imposing.
It's like I'm looking up at you from sucking a Jew.
Well, I'm just a small boy, and big old Jake's right there. Yeah, Jake's living
pretty big. Jake's
luxury.
Big JAKEY.
Big Jakey.
I'm about to leave all of this in, and this episode's going to be titled Big JAKEY.
Big Jake. All right, well, if I'm good.
The Big Sick. Yeah, what'd you think?
I like the Big Sick. Sorry. It was a genuinely beautiful little, like, I remember being very impressed by this movie when I first saw it, when it first came out. And yeah, it being a real story and how like awesome and like sweet it is, and it felt like a fresh like rom-com, which it's hard for rom-coms to feel fresh without for the sake of being fresh, I feel like, because sometimes they just try to make them just to like sell the rom-com genre, or like have like New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day, which those are guilty pleasure favorites of mine. I actually enjoy all those movies. Sue me. But yeah, oh god, no way, he'll actually sue me. Yes, please. All I have is this blanket. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. But on the other side, it's going up against Cheaper by the Dozen, 2003, directed by Sean Levy. Yeah, this is about, as you guessed it, big family. Steve Martin and Bonnie Hunt. They've compromised this is actually the synopsis. I thought it was so funny online, so I'm reading it. Tom and Kate have compromised their careers to raise 12 children. That is the first line. And that's pretty damn funny. They have compromised their careers. Like, that's the whole pitch. Like, can you imagine if people didn't give a shit about their jobs and had 12 kids?
Okay.
Okay. I want the prequel to this movie where it's just them having sex a lot. Anyway, so Tom coaches,
it's implied
football
that
team.
They still do.
Yeah.
No, it's a horny movie.
We'll get into it.
And like Kate retired from journalism to raise the family. Woo! But things change when Tom's offered a job in a new city. But it's at the same time a publisher buys Kate's memoir. So Kate goes on a book tour. Tom's got to be in charge of the kids.
Hijinks ensues.
And there's no more sex, and it's lame.
But then they have more sex when she gets back.
They have more sex.
And it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. This is such a nostalgic...
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
No, what more were you going to say about the sex in this movie, Matthew?
Matt, what were you going to say about the sex in this movie?
What were you going to say about the sex in this movie?
I was just gonna make a dumb joke that I watched the wrong version.
I watched the unrated version of Cheaper by the Dozen.
A big mistake.
What would the porn name for Cheaper by the Dozen be?
Cheaper by the does her.
Or
Deeper by the does her.
Deeper by the does her.
Yeah.
Deeper does her. We'll get there, guys. Tweeted us your porn your porn versions of this movie. We'll pick our favorite and make it. Okay.
Big offer for Jake.
Yeah, because it's a big movie. We love the bracket. What do you guys think of this movie? I think it's a very it's just a nostalgic pick. It's so fun. I honestly remember the second one more than the first, I realized.
Cheaper by the Dozen 2 is a wild ride. I love that movie.
I love that movie. I love that movie. But yeah, how do you guys feel?
I actually I watched this movie for the first time this year. I had never seen it. Yeah, I had never seen it. My fiance loves this movie and forced me to watch it.
Hey, if we remember, loyal listeners, that's big points already.
Yeah, it's got the fiance points. So she loves this movie, and I love it as well. No nostalgia for me, just pure joy watching this movie. I think it has so many funny moments. I think Ashton Kutcher is so funny in this movie for no reason. He's so funny.
If you Google Cheaper by the Dozen, it's the people always ask section. The fourth one down is, why is Ashton Kutcher uncredited in this movie? And if you've never seen this movie before, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I just think for the most part, the kids are pretty good acting. The hijinks are actually pretty funny. Yeah, I just think it's good. It's a good movie.
It's that fun, those family movies that came out where they were just having fun with a stupid idea. How do you feel, Matthew?
Yeah, so I have seen this movie before. It turns out I remembered very little of it. I basically only remembered the ending sequence where the one kid runs away.
Mark.
And rewatching it, there was some fun to be had, but I did feel like a lot just kind of dragged. I'm like, how is any of this plot relevant? Is what I felt like for most of the movie. Because it seems like things are just kind of happening. And I'm like, all right, okay, we're here now. This is happening.
It's cheaper by the dozen,
and
man.
I guess the whole plot premise is just man can't take care of child.
Well, it's not man can't take care of child. It's man can't handle 12 children, which I think is a very different concept.
That's an easier sell. Well, you know that genre of movies where it's like, this man takes care of those kids? What? Why is Dwayne The Rock Johnson in charge of this guy? Why is Dave Bautista, who kills people on the side, taking care of this kid? I love that genre. Why don't they do it with women? Do they ever do it with women? They should subvert it. They should have.
I think the reason that doesn't happen is because the whole trope they're playing on is man not homemaker, man do
That's
job.
Why they should subvert it.
Oh, Vin Diesel, the pacifier. Yeah. That's another one.
Yeah, there are a lot of these movies, especially with big burly boys, because society wants to view burly boys as burly men don't want
they
child.
Should do one with they should do one with just a scruff. They should do one with Jay Baruchel instead. Just be like, that guy definitely can't take care of kids.
That guy can't.
They should just do ones with actors we know they shouldn't be near children. I want to see Seth Rogen do. Oh, God.
I feel like this movie, though, I'm trying to think of a movie that's the same concept from before this movie. This was 2003.
Technically, this one.
I feel like a lot of the ones that I know came
remake?
After this.
Technically,
right?
Yeah, this is a remake.
It is.
Oh,
of a 1950s idea or something.
Yeah, that I know nothing about other than there's a big family, and I'm assuming there are 12 kids.
Dude, you should check out the poster for the old Cheaper by the Dozen, because there's a baby in the front seat who just looks pissed to be there. It's pretty
Is it in
funny.
an old-timey car?
Yeah. his hat's like raised. Do you see that baby?
Wow, that baby looks miserable.
Okay, wait. I have to call something out because this movie, I agree with Alex, started like a like big family movies started hitting us in the early 2000s. Feels very early 2000s. Cheaper by the Dozen comes out in 1950. Recommended is Bells on Their Toes.
Yeah.
And it's in 1952. It's another big family movie of people trying to take care of 12 kids. So apparently back in the 50s.
So twice, Cheaper by the Dozen has spurred a momentum of big family movies.
A tale as old as time.
Okay, I think this is fucking hilarious because it said people also search for The Sopranos. So, big family, but very different energy. Google.
Anyway, summary of my thoughts. I felt some of it dragged. I was like, lots of nostalgia. Well, some nostalgia. But overall, it's like a pretty fun ride. I was just a little like, why is this happening? Also, the last thing I want to call out, I guess we're basically just jumping into talking about these movies. The kids are such little shits.
Little wide children. They're wild. Which, again, any reasonable person could not take care of these 12 kids alone. Like, it's not just him. And it also, so what I think this movie does well narrative wise is it plays at like, man can't take care of kids, but any single real reasonable person could not take care of these 12 kids. And the mother didn't take care of the kids alone either. Like, they both had these big career moves that made it so neither of them were able to, right?
Wow.
And so like it like follows him, but I think the mother also has a really interesting like dynamic character and story in this movie that I think could have been easily overlooked. And so I appreciate that.
I had a crush on Allison Stoner because we're like the same. No, we're not really the same age. She's old. We're the same.
I was going to say she'd be like 15 years older than you. Oh,
were you thinking of Hillary Duff?
No. I was thinking of the old eldest daughter.
Oh, not Hillary Duff, isn't it? Hillary Duff.
Hillary Duff is the second oldest daughter.
The one who's with Ashton Kutcher. Why is Ashton Kutcher uncredited? Oh, that's amazing. That's so
I also
funny.
think Hillary Duff's character in this movie is pretty funny because she's basically just like playing her character from
Lizzie McGuire.
Like it's just that same character that she plays, which is pretty funny. Yeah, it's just Lizzie McGuire.
I looked up Hillary Duff, and the first article was, "Oops, Hillary Duff accidentally dyed her hair green."
Okay. Wow, we've really riveting content here from the boys. Tough cut.
Holy shit! The
Big
second
content.
article is like Hillary
Big
Duff
content,
had a
big
green
stories.
hair accident. What's happening?
Wow, are these recent articles?
We're in the green hair timeline.
Guys, we're so timely. We're so relevant. Look at our content.
We always are.
Tweet us if you're concerned about Hillary Duff's green hair incident.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that.
So how we compare these movies? What you guys got?
Family.
Family.
Vin Diesel would shit himself as a guest on this show. Or Dom. Isn't that his name? Dom Trabajo. Yeah.
Dominic Toretto from the
I
Fast
just
and
said
the
Dom
Furious
Trabajo
movies.
as in like Dom work. So that was wrong. Yeah. Family.
Wow.
What do you guys think?
Yes, I do think obviously that family is very, very central to both of these stories. As we kind of talked about with Cheaper by the Dozen, of that, you know, this familial unit needs plenty of care and attention, that you need both of the active parents to really make your way through these 12 crazy kids, or only 11 of them at home, really. Whereas I think Big Sick, it's obviously a very different approach because it's not big family. But I do think it's maybe big family values.
Ooh, like Adam's family values.
Yeah, or big cultural values.
Can I go on a tangent really quick to interrupt you?
Yep, go for
Does
it.
it piss anyone else off that in Cheaper by the Dozen there are 12 kids, but they're the bakers? So it's a baker's dozen, but it's only 12 kids.
Well, that's why they gotta fucking make more.
And they plan to.
I think both of these movies do family pretty good. I think obviously The Big Sick goes in a much more, I think, a much more personal comparison between what family means, like on a broader sense, rather than Cheaper by the Dozen, I think, largely is specifically about parenthood, which The Big Sick does touch as well. But it's more about like, who do you love? Like, how do you choose the person you love? Like, how do you choose your family?
Yeah, I think that what sort of encapsulates that feeling in The Big Sick is the Emily's father's line, "Loving someone this much sucks," as his daughter lays in a coma, trying to recover from a sickness that no one's been able to tell them what it is a really powerful sentiment of how painful it can be. You got any thoughts on family, Jake? I see your little nose.
I keep looking at myself and I look ridiculous. Yeah, I think The Big Sick obviously approaches it in a much more personal avenue, as we discussed. I think Cheaper by the Dozen is like a funny way to talk about it, and I think they, explore it a little bit more emotionally. Maybe in the second one, do I just like the second one better? Did I do another oopsie?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, so I think I really like the second one because it's got Eugene Levy and he's great. But I think the issue with the second one is it repeats a lot of the jokes from the first one. Like there's the dog biting the crotch and doing all that,
Nice.
But it's also got Taylor Lautner, which is pretty fun.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Really? Is it like a young Taylor Lautner?
It's the same
young Taylor
universe
Lautner
as
is
Twilight.
Allison Stoner's love interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I don't think I've seen the second one.
They're at like camp and they have to do a camp.
I don't think you guys feel the same way I do. I'm like pretty sad that these movies are going up against each other in the first round, because for me, these movies are finals territory. Like, I could see both of these movies in the finals in a universe.
I love that.
And so I'm kind of sad that they're going up against each other.
I feel sad about most of the matchups in this bracket because they're also fun.
When the night has gone.
Thanks, Jake. So something I do want to call out from The Big Sick, a very little thing. They're in Emily's apartment. It's Kumal and her parents, and they had just spent the day at the hospital with Emily. And they're like, oh, we're like, let's just drink some wine. Then they go, actually, need something stronger. Does she have whiskey? And he was like, yeah, on top of the fridge. They pull down a bottle. To any keen-eyed viewers.
Yeah, what kind of whiskey is it?
That's Mitcher's, presumably small batch. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sure, it wasn't
bourbon.
Apple juice.
And no, I'm sure it was Mitcher's. It's also pretty hard to find a lot of places. So this grad student out there shelling out a little bit of cash for some decent whiskey.
Could have been a gift. Could have been a grad gift or something.
That's true. She's not rolling in buying your cheap like $20 bottle. She probably spent like $50 to $60 on that.
Damn. So imagine having $50 to $60.
And then her parents drink it. Her parents and her ex-boyfriend drink the whole bottle. So,
dude, imagine coming out of a coma and
excited to drink your favorite whiskey.
Is your favorite whiskey. And your fucking ex-boyfriend shared it with you. That's pretty fucked.
Guys, Ray Romano is in this movie. We haven't talked about that
Ice
at
Age
all.
is in this movie. That's pretty wild.
He actually is really good in this movie.
Yeah,
I agree.
I was like jarred by his appearance in this movie, but I was pretty excited for it.
I totally forgot he was the dad, and then they were like there, and I was like, oh yeah,
that's really good casting. I mean, is it better casting than Ashton Kutcher? I really don't know, but.
Yeah, that's where I'm struggling.
That's my struggle.
I watched the Lizzie McGuire movie. It's a pretty good movie.
Should that have been in?
Why didn't you put that in the bracket?
I could have. Big star.
Big star.
She's a big star.
That's the beauty of the big bracket. Anything goes in this territory.
Not The Little Hours featuring Jared Leto.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it was a bad movie and no one should.
Or Of Mice and Men. Because mice are small.
But Lenny.
Lenny Big.
Holy shit.
Lenny do be kind of big, though.
Lenny Big.
Guys, do we have any idea what we want to vote for / talk about more?
I don't know what I want to talk about, but I know what I want to vote for.
Jake, are you set?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't. Wait, Alex, you're like you're torn. So
I'm ready. I'm ready to vote.
Okay.
I'm torn because I want to vote one way, but I feel like I have to vote the other way.
So what I'm going to say here before we jump into this vote, I want to sincerely apologize to whatever one loses because you did not get a fair showing in the tough cut. We spent half the time talking about nonsense.
If we have any fans of whatever movie loses, dude, sorry. Create your own podcast so you can talk all about it. This is our show.
And we're going to talk about Hillary Duff's green hair accident, and you can't stop us.
And for that reason, I'm actually voting for Cheaper by the Dozen because I want to talk more about Hillary Duff's green hair.
And I am voting for The Big Sick. There was never any doubt.
Jake, you have ruined me.
Yeah.
Because my fiance will never forgive me if I don't vote for Cheaper by the Dozen until it gets to the finals. But I very badly want to vote for The Big Sick.
Follow your heart.
Your heart. Or your fiance's.
Well, that is his heart.
You got to do what you got to do.
Hey, honey.
This is
the second ever guest appearance here on the Tough
Cut. This is pretty funny.
Marina, am I going to be in trouble if I don't vote for Cheaper by the Dozen? I'm voting for Cheaper by the Dozen. I'm so sorry, Matt.
With a very heavy heart, Cheaper by the Dozen advances over The Big Sick.
What was the second
half
half
I get it,
of this
Alex.
episode?
You gotta. I get it. Keep yourself safe out there, friend.
I feel like my picks that I don't expect to move forward. They're the only ones who ever move forward, and it's pretty funny. I love The Big Sick.
And The
Big Sick is such a good movie.
The new trend of Matthew's movies never advancing beyond the first round continues for a.
I think you'll get at least bracket. One in this second.
We'll see. Speaking of next episode and the next picks, we've got Destroy All Monsters versus Big Man Japan. That should be a really fun one. I cannot
wait for you guys to watch Big Man Japan. I cannot wait. We're gonna have so much fun with it. And Destroy All Monsters, honestly.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and then they're both great. And then on the other side, we've got Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs versus Promare.
Big food. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is the only movie on this side of the bracket that I've seen, so I'm so excited to watch the other three.
They should be. It should be really interesting. The kaijus of the top versus big food and anime on the bottom. It should be a good time.
Thank you so much for audience. Thank you so much for putting up with us today. It was a wild RPG, but we got through it.
It was a chaotic one, but here we are out on the other side.
Let us know if you like this style of real good convo, real Hillary Duff hair dye
ingredients.
Do you prefer bed Jake or closet Jake? Let us know.
You can.
Yeah, the chaotic energy of bed Jake or the analytical closet Jake. Get you a man who can do both. Follow us on all the socials at Tough Cut Pod.
We have some stuff to say.
Tell a friend whose family is bigger than 6 people about the show.
Or tell someone you want to start a family of 12 with.
Someone who you're willing to sacrifice your career to have 12 kids with.
Guys, we really do appreciate y'all. We're having fun here, and we hope you are too. Big goodbye. Everyone give them a big goodbye. Bye.